Okay, class, settle down and take out your notebooks. Today's lesson is about PCOS. What is it? Is it serious? How do I know if I have it? Is there a cure? I'll have all of the answers to your questions and more on today's episode of Pink Plus. I'm your host, Savannah Burns, and thanks for joining us. PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and essentially it's a hormonal disorder that causes cysts on the ovaries that cause the ovary to fail at releasing an egg. You can see where the difficulty in getting pregnant can occur here. I once had a male doctor basically tell me that unless I was actively trying to get pregnant, that PCOS wasn't a big deal. I'm not a doctor, but I do know that with PCOS comes an increased risk of diabetes, insulin resistance, uterine cancer, severe liver inflammation, metabolic syndrome, sleep apnea, and depression. So I'd say it's a fairly big deal. And while there isn't a cure for this yet, it is treatable. Many doctors will prescribe metformin as a first line against diabetes. However, metformin is an old school drug, and doctors trying to keep up with the rapidly changing pharmaceutical industry would likely prescribe something else. In my case, I started off by taking metformin. It didn't improve my labs, but it did send me running to the bathroom 10 minutes after I ate anything. Next, I was put on Trulicity. That was magic. I lost 30 stubborn pounds in 3 months, and my labs looked great. The downside to this drug is that it's an injection. I gave it to myself in the abdomen, and this medication needs you to drink a lot of water as kidney failure is a risk. Then there are medications given for high cholesterol, birth control to regulate your period, and hormones like Clomid to help with fertility. In case I haven't sold you on why PCOS is not the bee's knees, we can also add obesity, acne, mood swings, and pelvic pain to the list of symptoms. And the cherry on top is that you lose so much of your hair from your head, but don't worry, you just gain hair on other parts of your body. The biggest red flag for PCOS is the irregular periods. That's when I knew something was wrong myself. And if you also have a period that's MIA, but the home pregnancy test is negative, now is the time when you need to get seen by your doctor. I waited a long time because I was scared, and waiting didn't help my situation at all. It certainly did no favors for my anxiety. If PCOS is something you struggle with, please know you aren't alone. It's something not a lot of people talk about openly, and I'm here to help change that. I used to love not having a period when I wasn't trying to create a family. Now every month that I don't get a period or it's super irregular, I strap into this roller coaster of, well, could this be the month? Am I pregnant? Followed by a negative pregnancy test, followed by my period making an entrance a few days later. And even though I know I'm probably not pregnant, every month I remain hopeful only to be disappointed. It's a vicious cycle. Oh, and here's some interesting facts about PCOS as cited by the Nutrition Care of Rochester. I'll link the article in the description of this episode so you can see for yourself. Despite being one of the most common endocrine disorders, PCOS receives less than 0.1% of funding from the National Institutes of Health. By age 40, 40% of women with PCOS will develop prediabetes or diabetes. Women with PCOS may have more difficulty breastfeeding and producing sufficient milk for their babies, which is a new fact I'm just learning, and it suddenly hurts all over again, but that's a story for another day. And lastly, the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in women with PCOS at middle age is 6.8 times higher than that of the general female population. So class, did we learn anything today? Even if you yourself don't struggle with this, statistics say you know at least one or multiple women with it. And at the very least, you know me. But the good news is we are in it together. You aren't alone, and you don't have to cope with it in silence. Reach out to me, share your story with me. I'm ready to listen when you're ready to talk. Do you have PCOS? Send me a private video message to the podcast Instagram page. Tell me what's been the hardest symptom for you, at Pink Plus Podcast, and I'll play your answers in an episode. Don't worry, you can remain anonymous to listeners. Thanks for tuning in on this real quick lesson of PCOS. It's our job as women to educate, empower, and support other women. And it really means a lot to me to have you here listening to these podcast episodes, knowing there are other women out there who this could potentially help. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting me, and we'll catch you next time.